Alright, so here I am today. I'm about to install a set of WoodCraft frame sliders on my 2009 GSXR 750. I'm going to go through and show you guys how to do it. So obviously first we need the sliders. These are the WoodCraft ones. I went with these because if you do happen to go down in them, you can actually just replace the puck on top. Because see, they have a screw that goes into the side of them here that holds the puck on top. So if this top part gets like all messed up when you go down on it, it's not gonna like make it so you can't get the slider out, for one, because it won't cover up a bolt in the top, and then there's no surface for it to catch and possibly make your bike flip. So that's why I ended up going with these. So first of all, the first thing you're going to need to do is obviously get your plastics off. So to do that, you're going to need a 4mm Allen wrencher. You know, I have a T-handle here because it makes it a lot easier. You're going to need an 8mm Allen, and that's for the engine mount bolts, where you're going to put the frame sliders in at. I have an 8mm also with a torque wrench. Basically adapter on it, or a wrench adapter, so I can torque down those engine bolts to the proper torque specifications. Flathead screwdriver, a drill, and a 2-inch hole saw. So to get these plastics off, you're gonna have to take out a screw here, a screw up here, and another one down here. And then also you're going to have to pop some plastic tabs. One is right here, and that's what you're going to need the flatheads for, is you're just going to be able to pop that up and it'll come right out. Here, let's see if I can do this for you guys real quick. Just stick that flathead in there, just pop it up, and then it should come right out. And there's going to be one right here on the top by your handlebars. There's going to be two on the bottom of your fairings, way down here. I don't know if you can see them. There's one. There's two. One, two. And then there is another one on the inside, right up in here. I don't know if you can see it, but that's where my finger's at right there. And once you get all those out, you can just pop the plastics off. Basically, there's a few tabs that hold it in, like other just little plastic tabs that stick in the holes that you just kind of pull out. So here, let me do that real quick. Alright, so I'm back. I got both sides of the fairings off, and here I am with the brake side fairing, your right hand side. The hole where the engine mounts at that you're going to put it in is right here. It already has a little hole. This is generally the one for most frame sliders that you don't actually have to cut this side, but with these ones you do. So you just basically have to widen that hole up a little bit. I know I said it says 2-inch hole saw, and I mean that's what it says in the instructions, but I decided to put on the 1 3/4 inch hole saw. Just to make sure. I'd rather cut twice than cut once and have it be too big. So here we go. Let's give this thing a shot. That's not the best idea. Alright, well, looks like this is getting scrapped. Alright, let's see if I can do this without messing this up. This is my first time doing anything like this, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so here's my hole drilled out. Looks like it popped up a little bit of the paint, so I'll have to go down with a file and file that down. But let's see. Let me go over here and pop this thing back on and see if this thing will fit in here. Alright, now as far as bolt that it goes in, obviously it's this one right here. Looks like, just from the first look, that it's not quite centered exactly, so I'm probably going to have to get my Dremel here and work around this edge. Yeah, it's definitely not fitting, so I'm going to have to do definitely work these edges. So should have done is obviously just went with the 2-inch first, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so here I am back at my bike with a little bit of Dremel tooling later. I got this thing sanded down, the edges unroughed, I guess you could say, and put up in there. So this is what it looks like. Now, this is what I was talking about, where the screw basically goes in the side of the puck. You just screw that in there to hold the puck on to the base part that goes into the engine mount hole. Gives it a cleaner look, I would think, you know, just because it's all nice and flat on the tip right here. There's no screw going in there. Just gives it a nice clean look, and you know, for other functionality too. Let me take this fairing off for you real quick and show you the best way that I got this thing in. So, let's see, where are we? Here we are. Alright, so here is the hole on the back side. As you can see, the the hole saw kind of got away a couple times there, veered off, but it's alright because it's on the back of the fairing. Obviously, you can't see anything from the front. And what I found is that for these to fit right, you really have to get this hole saw. There's one of these little plastic pins that pushes into the frame, one of the holes in the frame, and you really have to get that hole saw like right up on the side of that for it to be able to fit in there. Just a little FYI for you guys that want to put on these WoodCraft ones. I actually even had to take the Dremel and Dremel it down a little bit right here along the edge of this piece after I had drilled the hole right up next to this, you know, for it to fit just right. So, you know, be aware of that, you know, and to be able to line the hole up, because there's originally the little hole right here in the middle that the frame, or the engine mount bolt went into. If you line the hole saw right up against this piece right here, you're going to be pretty close to centered. So, yeah, just remember that when you're doing this side. And let me go get that other fairing and get that matched up and sawing on that piece. Alright, so I'm back and I'm on the clutch shift left hand side of your bike right now, and I'm going to show you how basically am going to line up this hole, because you can't see this engine mount hole just out through your plastics like you could the other side. So you have to be able to line that hole up with your plastics to be able to know where to put the, drill the hole in the right spot. So what I did for that was basically I took this bolt right here, and this bolt is the bolt that came with the new sliders. And I screwed it in just barely to get it lined up with the engine mount hole. And then I took a red marker and I basically colored around the outside of that bolt, and then I put the plastics back over top and put the plastics back on and clicked them into these rubber mount holes, and then so I'd know wherever basically the red rubbed off of that bolt is that's where the color would be on the back side of the fairing, and that's how I'd know where to drill my hole, because it'd be lined up with this hole. So I don't know if you can see it, but the little bit of marker that came off from this bottom side, little bottom right corner right here, so that I know when I drill the hole wherever the red is at, I need to go just slightly up and to the left of where the red spot's at. Here, I'll go over to the fairing and show you where it's at. Alright, so let me see if I can get some better lighting on this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but see this little red spot right there? You can see the shadow on my finger, kind of. It's right there, that little red spot. That's where that bolt had touched. So I need to go just slightly up and towards the middle of the fairing a little bit. So that'd be right around, I don't know if you can see this little kind of, looks like a circle that's already put there in the plastics. If I go like right at the edge of that, right, and drill my hole right there, then I'll probably be lined up pretty accurately. So what I want to do first is take a drill, just like a regular drill bit, and just drill it through the fairing right there for the pilot hole. And then that way I can look through that drill bit hole too to make sure it's lined up with the engine mount bolt in the hole where it's going to be going. So then, if it's not, then I can readjust it a little bit before I drill the whole hole and make it, in case it might be off. So let me go over and get that set up. Now let's see if I can get this hole drilled right. So sink it down just slightly up into the side of where the marking was, trying to get it right about where the middle of that bolt would have been sitting. Alright, now let's see how this, come over here and see how this hole lines up. So, probably should have had a flashlight over here. Well, looking in there, I can see straight through the engine, basically the hole where the bolt goes into on the engine block, so it does look like it's right about centered. So I'm going to drill a little bit bigger hole here and see if I can't see a little more in there to make sure it's right centered. So I got my little bit bigger hole drilled in here and I looked through. I put a little light, a little LED light back up behind there and up in there so I could see, make sure that there's bright light that I could see, if the hole is there and it wasn't dark or anything, to make sure that the hole's lined up. And it is. It looks lined up pretty well, so now the only thing left is cutting this hole. Alright. Do or die. Well, looks like battery's done on me a little bit. Here's another thing, make sure you got a full charge battery on your drill. So I'm going to have to charge this for a few minutes and come back and finish this, but it's looking pretty good. Alright, so I've got my hole drilled now. Unfortunately, it was a little bit off center, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take my Dremel here, and it was because of, once again, this little piece right here that goes into the freaking body. It was in the way, and it still needs to go up a little bit right there. It's not quite fitting, so I need to just trim this piece in a little bit here up, and trim the circle up a little bit here, and it should be good to go. Alright, now it's getting really close. It's just hung up right over here on this side, right up in here still a little bit, so you can see the lip on every other side. Fortunately, there's a pretty big size gap from what I feel like is a good size gap on the bottom, because I did miscut it at first. But the good news is that's on the bottom, so you know nobody's going to be getting down on their back looking up at my bike. Well, in most cases. Anyway, so let me go over and trim the rest of this down real quick. Alright, here we are, all finished up, put back together. Gave her a quick wipe down too. Looking hella clean, so you go there, you see what the puck's on. That's where you can kind of see the screw. It's right on each side of it. Yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, one thing that I didn't mention yet is that I believe the torque specifications for the engine mount bolts are 39.8 foot-pounds, I believe. I just put them at 40. So yeah, that's about it. Come on, I'll show you the other side here. But I mean, for the first time doing it, looks like it came out pretty good to me. So, any questions? Go ahead and ask.